Namaskar. Good evening. Excellency Mr. Urmas Rainsall, Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Government of Estonia, Mr. Sanjay Samrao Dhotre, Member of my delegation, Minister of State, and also other members of Parliament who are all accompanying me in this delegation, Ambassador Designate of Estonia to India, Mrs. Catherine Kivik, Ambassador of India, Ms. Vani Rao, distinguished diplomats, brothers and sisters. I am delighted to be with all you today on my first visit to your beautiful country as the Vice President of India. I am happy to bring to you all the warm greetings of the people of India on your restoration of Independence Day, which was celebrated yesterday. I thank the Government of Estonia for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the contemporary world with all of you. It is a happy coincidence that both Estonia and India are celebrating many important events this year. While you are celebrating the anniversary of the restoration of independence, we are celebrating 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, who led our country's independent movement. It is indeed a moment to celebrate, a time to celebrate democracy, a time to celebrate freedom, a time to celebrate victory of the forces of peace against the forces of war. This celebration brings our countries closer because we have had the same quest for freedom. It is an occasion to recollect our past and countless trials and tribulations as we struggle to regain independence. This celebration affirms the indomitable human spirit and the tenacious quest of our peoples for freedom. It is also a moment to ponder and take action to preserve the hard-won freedom and work resolutely to deepen the democratic roots and improve the quality of lives of our people. It is this common commitment to freedom, rule of law, inclusive growth that binds our countries together. It is bond that is strengthened by the discovery of some of common words in Baltic language and our ancient Sanskrit. It is the unseen thread of civilization values that draws us closer, values of peaceful coexistence, tolerance, and non-violence. My dear diplomats, I come from a country that has believed over the last 2,000 years that the entire world is one family and that we must find solutions to our problems by putting our heads and hearts together. That is the message of the ancient sages who, in the Vedas and Upanishads, gave us a vision of an integrated, interconnected world where humanity must learn to live, learn and grow together, where human beings must respect and live in harmony with the nature. It is this vision that has inspired many leaders throughout India's history. It is the philosophical underpinning of the life of Mahatma Gandhi and the writings of Nobel Prize winner, poet, and the author of India's national anthem, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. It is this vision that makes us believe that we must continuously fortify the forces of peace by enlarging the circle of countries who cherish similar values. It is the same vision that underlines the creation of the United Nations and the quest for creation of a just, responsive, rule-based world order. During my current interaction with the heads of states and heads of government in the Baltic states, I find a distinct resonance with this worldview. In India, our ancient philosophy, basic philosophy is Vasudaika Kutumbakam. That is, entire world is one family. That is the basic philosophy of India. And secondly, we also say that Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. All sections of the people, they should all live in peace and harmony and prosperity. That is the philosophy of India. India was once upon a time known as Vishwa Guru. Students from different countries, they used to come to India and read in Nalanda and the then Takshashila and Vikramshila universities. Huan Song, Pahian, the Chinese noted historians, they wrote about the greatness of India. And once upon a time, India's even GDP was around 20% of the world GDP. We had such a huge trade. But India never attacked any country. We never tried to conquer anybody. We want to live in peace and harmony with all. We want to have inclusive growth. We want to see that our nation becomes a strong, stable, prosperous, peaceful nation where everybody will have his role and also will have fruits of development. That is the basic philosophy of India, which is even now we are pursuing the same. There is a distinct resonance with the world view between India and even the Baltic states. As heads of Estonian mission, I am sure you are already engaged with various countries in all the regions of the world and where you would be contributing to building the world we all want. I would like to underscore a few perspectives and have been guiding India's engagement with the world. Essentially, we believe in 5 pillars: Samvad, Samruddhi, Suraksha, Samskriti, and Samman. That means dialogue, mutual prosperity, mutual security, strengthening cultural ties, and natural and mutual respect. We believe that we must have an inclusive, open, and free system that treats all nations equally, fairly, and aims to create mutually beneficial platforms for cooperation. We wish to see a world order that ensures security and growth for all. In today's world, countries can come together on the basis of regional and geographical considerations. There is also scope for working together on a global platform on such issues as fighting terror, climate change, and also on development and economic issues. Every international engagement, bilateral, regional, or multilateral, is an opportunity. It is no longer a world largely divided as during the Cold War. It enables India to pursue mutually beneficial relations with each country, big or small. There are also opportunities for working together with regional regroupings. India, for instance, is working with ASEAN, European Union, and Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The first Indian Nordic Summit was held on 18th April 2018 in Stockholm, where trade, global security, shared values of human rights, democracy, and rule of law were discussed. The Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC, is an international organization of 7 countries of South Asia and Southeast Asia. SAARC was founded in 1985 and includes 8 countries, that includes Afghanistan. In November 2018, EU brought out a strategy paper on India. It aims to intensify engagement between India and European Union and also on regional and global issues. We reciprocate these sentiments. We hope that the United Nations and other multilateral bodies are reformed and further democratized to reflect the contemporary realities. We are working with all the countries and regions, including Indo-Pacific, with the firm belief that dialogue and predictable, transparent, rule-based system reduces geopolitical trends and also that shared prosperity benefits for all. A rising tide of growth and cooperation lifts all boats, and that's we need to aim for. We value democracy, freedom, and independence, and at the same time, we recognize the realities of an increasingly interconnected, interdependent world where cooperation and collaboration are the only way forward. Nobody can live in isolation and have a consolation. The world has become a small global village. We must all respect each other, cooperate with each other, learn from each other, follow the best practices. This is the philosophy we believe in. We also want, as I told you earlier, that the United Nations Security Council must be democratized. India accounts to 1/6 of the world population. Still, India is not there in the United Nations Security Council. How fair, how just it is, how is the true reflection of the world opinion in the United Nations Security Council. So we want early democratization and restructuring of the United Nations Security Council. India deeply cares about the health of our planet and has taken initiative to establish International Solar Alliance. International Solar Alliance is an alliance of more than 122 countries instituted by India between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. It was founded in 2015. The objective is to exploit solar energy to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. Now it is open to all countries, and necessary adjustments have been made to framework document to enable this. India believes that peace is the prerequisite for progress. You cannot have progress without peace. If you have tension, you cannot have attention towards the development. So therefore, we have been focusing on friendly relations with all countries, including our neighbor. However, we do recognize that there are significant challenges because of cross-border terrorism, which is being actively engaged by one of our immediate neighbors. In fact, India considers terrorism as a major global challenge that requires an effective global response. The United Nations must act quickly, decisively, and effectively to combat the forces of terror in all their manifestations, because terror has no religion, it has no color, it's an enemy of humanity. It might affect India one day, UK one day, United Nations the other day. We are seeing it spreading like cancer across the globe. So the world community must come together at the earliest, and the United Nations must conclude the consultations at the international level and to define what is terrorism and take steps to identify people who are aiding, abetting, funding, training terror. That's the need of the hour to have a world peace. As I told you, peace is the prerequisite for progress. We believe in that. We must congratulate Estonia on getting elected as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and we are very happy to see a friend of India in the Council. We look forward in cooperating with your country on issues of international peace and security. I must acknowledge the rapid strides Estonia has taken in the last few decades in e-governance and has transformed the delivery of services to the people. I look forward to greater cooperation between Estonia and India on all fronts, including technology. See, the digitization, Estonia is the leader now. And e-governance, paperless, all these things, people may say it's a small country, but you are showing the way to the world. And we, in India, we want to cooperate, we want to have really transfer of technology, and also we want to work together. India has been moving on its development journey with great alacrity and hopes to be at $5 trillion economy in the next 5 years. The focus of the government is to transform the lives of our people through a number of path-breaking initiatives like Make in India, Digital India, Green India. The ease of doing business has improved vastly in the last 5 years, and now the thrust is on ease of living for all citizens. Our Prime Minister believes in reforms, faster reforms, speedy reforms. He has given a 3-line advice, mantra, what we call, is that he said reform, perform, transform. Transformation of the nation, transformation of the people's lives. That is the purpose of the reforms that are going on in the country. The country is also moving steadily to bring in sustainable, integrated, inclusive development across all states and population groups. The governance paradigm is undergoing a major transformation, and technology is being used for greater transparency and effective delivery of services. You know that we are a huge country of 135 crore population. We have 28 states. We have 706 languages, main languages, 22 official languages which are there as per the Constitution. And then we also have different ways of living. But there is unity in diversity. There is total commitment for the unity, integrity, safety and security of the country among the people, among the political parties. We have a number of political parties, but we all work together, think together, and act together as and when necessary, in spite of having differences, opposing also at times in Parliament. But at the end of the day, people see what is needed for the country. India today derives strength from achievements of its diaspora, which is about 30 million strong. We are also developing. We are a developing country, but we are world leaders in pharmaceuticals, IT, medical treatment, and nuclear technology and space sectors. The government and the parliament have recently taken a decision to restructure the state of Jammu and Kashmir with a view to improve governance and foster inclusive and equitable governance. This decision was taken by Indian Parliament with an overwhelming majority. My dear diplomats, many of you must be aware of the fact that the Indian Vice President is not only the second constitutional authority, but is also chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the Parliament. This legislation concerning Jammu Kashmir, which is part of our country, has been carried by 3/4 majority in the upper house, where the government do not have majority. Secondly, it is approved by the lower house, the direct elected house, by 4/5 of its majority. That means there is broad consensus and agreement, and the people are rejoicing across the country, but there as the total integration has been brought in. For your information, that this special status or provision that was given at that time was a transitional provision. India had 565 provinces at that time before independence. The Britishers were going. What they did, they said the 500 provinces, choice is given to them. You can be independent. You can join Pakistan. You can join India. All the states have opted to join India, including Jammu Kashmir, the Maharaja of Kashmir. Those days are the Raja's king's period. So kings has to sign the accession. He has signed for merger with India. But as one of the persons there, the leader of that state, he has made a request. So the then Prime Minister said, okay, there will be some temporary provision for some time, and over the course of the time, that will go. After 72 years, in between we had number of discussions in Parliament, cutting across party lines. People opined that this should go because many of the development initiatives are not reaching that state, and that state being a strategic state because it's the border, and then as our neighbor is trying to take advantage and then create a wedge between people of the rest of the country and the state. The Parliament, in its collective wisdom, have decided to do away with that, and that has happened, and now people are happy about it. But unfortunately, some people are carrying negative propaganda against the decision of the government. Nobody has got any right to interfere in the internal affairs of any country. We are a sovereign country, even in Jammu Kashmir, right from 1952 to now. Every 5 years, there is election. There is election of chief minister, ministers, then the election of MLAs, and then election of other bodies also. And they have been participating in parliament elections. There are now representatives of Kashmir, even in Indian parliament, on regular basis. That is the reality of the situation, in spite of a negative picture being portrayed by some people. It was a decision that was completely within the purview of Indian government, but there have been attempts by our neighbor country to spread the misinformation and internationalize the issue. This was totally unwarranted, and therefore India has strongly objected to this unacceptable interference of another country into its internal affairs. This kind of meddling with other nations' internal administration does not bode well for the world peace. Misinformation, disinformation, and malicious, hateful rhetoric exacerbate tensions in a world that has committed to achieve an ambitious, transformative agenda of sustainable development. The United Nations gave us a mandate for sustainable development by 2030. Sustainable development, these irritants can retard the progress of substantially. All sections must have the participation in the developmental story. That is what the United Nations also says. India wishes to see that these forces of retardation are checked effectively, and each country focuses attention on the development. Peace is not merely absence of conflict. It is the state of well-being and the ability to lead fulfilling, dignified lives. It is a state where each individual enjoys the essential freedoms to live, learn, and grow. It is our collective responsibility to see that we contribute to building that kind of a world order. I am hopeful that all of you belonging to a country that lost and regained independence, and to a country that has fast-tracked development after independence, will play a key role in the United Nations and every country you are all working. I convey my good wishes on your exciting and challenging journey. It is my fervent hope that the India, Estonia, as well as Baltic countries will work together to create a new, peaceful, and prosperous world. Our vision, as put forth by the Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi for the Indo-Pacific region is, he said, Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. India's vision for the Indo-Pacific is positive, forward-looking, and symbolizes progress, connectivity, and prosperity based on shared values and interests. We emphasize respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of all nations in the region, equality of all nations, peaceful resolution of disputes, avoidance of use of threat or use of force, and adherence to international laws, rules, and regulations. We do not see the Indo-Pacific as a new theater for geostrategic contestation or an exclusive club of limited number of nations. It includes all nations in this geography and other beyond who have a stake in it. We will work with all the people in the region to keep the seas, space, airways free and open, to keep nations secure from terrorism, piracy, to ensure global cyberspace is free from disruption, and to ensure access to and responsible use of global commons. This is our approach towards the Pacific region. As I have explained to you, I'll just quote one word. Under our Constitution 21 of the Constitution of India, which deals temporary, transitional, and special provision. The special status was given to one state after the Maharaja signed accession on October 27, 1947. So, temporary transition arrangement. It's now transition arrangement has undergone a change. It's an administrative decision taken by the Supreme Authority of India, that is Parliament, not by government alone, and then that's on. As far as cooperation with others are concerned, including with our neighbor, let me make it very clear. We want peaceful coexistence. We do not want any war with anybody. We are focusing war on poverty, disparities, discrimination, that is corruption. That is our attitude. There is no question of trying to quarrel. But at the same time, the others also should respect our sovereignty, should stop interfering in our internal affairs, and then should not aid and abet or fund or train terrorists. This is the clarity we have in our mind. Our former Prime Minister, late former Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee said, you can change your friends, but you cannot change your neighbors. We are aware of that. Being aware of that, but we want to change their mental attitude of interfering in others. This thing, that will not be acceptable at all. That we have made very clear. We do not want anybody's mediation also. We are capable of solving our issues. And as far as the issues of cooperation is concerned, the cooperation with regard to development, the cooperation with regard to transfer of technology, the cooperation with regard to success stories, the cooperation, what we need is exchanging ideas. That is what is required, and India is committed to that, and we are happy. After my 3 days of tour in this Baltic region, starting from Estonia, Latvia, and here, I found a very favorable atmosphere, and as I could understand, there seems to be some sort of link between these countries and India. Whether it is a language link, it's a link because of our commitment to peace, whether it is a link because of Mahatma Gandhi and his non-violence, whether it is because of our cultural heritage or quest for knowledge, I don't know. It's like there is some special affection towards each other. We want to build on that. Our students are there in good number in 3 of these countries. They are very comfortable. They are very happy. And we met them, they are all saying, we are enjoying it. Some of them after studies also want to stay back. That speaks of the goodness of the people of these 3 regions. We as a team, we have come here, we are going back with sweet memories, with happiness, and also we are very much convinced about the assurance given by the leaders of these 3 countries that they will all join together as far as the issues of the terrorism is concerned. And they are also willing to come much closer to have trade, economic, and other relations. And some of them told me that Indian culture, Indian cuisine, Indian cinema, they're all getting more attraction among the people. I would like to thank them for their cooperation and support that they have extended during our visit here. Thank you very much. Namaskar. I also would like to thank the External Affairs Minister of Foreign Affairs, for organizing this beautiful gathering for distinguished diplomats to hear the Indian point of view during our visit to this country. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Anyone has got any question? If anyone has a question, I'll try to answer it. Okay.
So, Honourable Vice President, thank you very much for a model speech and very clear and sound moral statement. And let me stress that Estonia stands steadfast for United Nations Security Council reform, also taking into consideration that India deserves a permanent membership.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.